Welcome back everyone, sorry for the delay on this video. I actually made one last week, woke up the next morning and realized I hated it. So I deleted it. After redefining what I wanted this video to cover, I came up with this guide. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And while I still don't have the Rift Guardian, I did snag the little red panda. So that's cool. And of course, still no RC pet, but that's fine. Here you can see what I personally take on and off a Slayer task. The notable differences are the helm, gloves, and ring swaps. Now both of these are about a 1.5 mil risk, not including the ether. In the middle is a cheap setup with a risk of about 180k without the ether. You can make other gear swaps like taking a Pkers or a Fury as well. For recommended stats, I would suggest 80 range if you're on task and 85 range if you're off task in order to get through Ven's high defense levels. When it comes to rings, you have a few options. First is the Archer's Ring Imbued, which helps with accuracy and DPS against Venenatis' high defense. Off task, I take this. You can also take the Ring of Wealth Imbued, which doubles clue scroll drop rates out in the wild. The Imbue scroll costs about 50k on the Grand Exchange, but do know it'll always be lost on a PvP death. On task, I take this since the Slayer Helm makes up for the DPS loss from the Archer's Ring. Another option is the Ring of Suffering Eye, which provides a nice prayer bonus and hefty defense stats, which is mostly for defense against other players if you're worried about Pkers. A cheap fourth option would be the Explorer's Ring. It provides a +1 prayer bonus and restores run energy. If you take this, it's free to replace and you can bank your stamina pot too since it restores some run energy. Which one you take depends on you and your playstyle as they're all viable options. Now let's take a look at our inventory setup. To help against Pkers, you can take a Din's Bulwark for its defensive stats. Number 2, you want at least an Antidote ++ to protect against Venenatis' poison attack. Alternatively, you can take an Anti-Venom ++ for extra protection against Pkers if they manage to venom you. If you're really worried about Pkers, you can also bring an Anti-Fire, as Onyx Bolt's E special attacks have a Dragonfire attack. For the Venom and Anti-Fire, I personally don't bring these as your goal is to teleport quicker than a Pker can attack you, and it's not guaranteed that Pkers will Venom or bring Onyx Bolts, as they might be more focused on freezing or teleport blocking you, or even using a Ballista. For prayer potions, I bring Super Restores. At the time of recording, they were the cheapest option, so always check the Grand Exchange before going out. And in case you don't know, Blighted Super Restores are Super Restores that can only be used out in the wilderness. Saradomin Bruiser to protect against Pkers and restore HP if you need it. Keep in mind that while you raise your defense with the bruise, they also lower your magic level, and it's your magic level that makes up 70% of your magic defense. So sip these brews in a 3-to-1 ratio with your super restores to avoid lowering your magic level too much against Pkers. A few sharks or other high healing foods are good to bring, as Venenatis will occasionally be dealing some damage if you mess up the safe spot. I always take a Holy Wrench as it provides a +1 prayer bonus. It does require the Trouble Brewing quest, but after that it's free and you can get as many as you like. I bring house teleports, but alternatively you can take a games necklace. For me, the seed pod is a hard requirement if you're out in the wilderness past level 20, as this is the one click out up to level 30. It requires completing Monkey Madness 2 to unlock, however. You could also bring the Amulet of Glory, however it takes a bit longer to activate, so I don't recommend it. And of course the wilderness bag. If you don't have one, Ven drops them at a rate of 1 out of 3, so even if you lose it, you can get it back fairly quickly. When it comes to banking, I have a hard rule of not going to Edgeville, and I also prefer to avoid the Grand Exchange. Pkers like to hang out there, and I've died at least a couple times from people following me out after banking. I would say the same goes for the Ferox Enclave, but I know a lot of people use that for the healing pool, so this is just something to keep in mind. So now you know what you need to fight Ven, but before we cross this ditch, we need to go over 3 general rules to follow whenever you're out in the wilderness. 1. Always have Protect item enabled at all times, no exceptions. Number 2. Where possible, always have Protect magic on as well. A normal teleport block will last 5 minutes, and that time is cut in half if your Protect for magic is activated. Number 3. Player attack options at a minimum should be on right click, but I strongly advise putting them on hidden 100% of the time to avoid getting skull tricked. I've had to read a lot of stories about players losing valuable equipment because this rule wasn't followed. Don't be one of them. Now on to finding Venenatis. First, use your games necklace and get to the Corporal Beast lair as shown on the map. From here, run until you reach X marks the spot and you've arrived at Venenatis. All right, we've made it to Venenatis. So let's go over the mechanics real quick. Just remember, while you're practicing on how to actually lure and set up the kills, it is perfectly fine to use a magic short bow with steel arrows and accumulator. Very risk-free way to just get in some practice and not have to worry about anything. So first we have our reset tile. So when you arrive, you've got the first spider tile here. We're going to run east all the way to the next one. North by 2 tiles, east by 1 tile. Now, if you ever need to reset her aggro and get her to go back to her spawn point, this is how we do it. Run at least as far west as this tile, attack her, and go 1 tile back. From there, she'll run back to her spawn and you'll be good to go. Here, this tile is marked safe because as long as we're on this tile, Venenatis will not aggro us. Now, when you first arrive, sometimes you'll have to step 1 east to get the rest of the map to load. From there, we go to our attack tile in order to set up the kill. Now, what we're looking for, we're waiting for Venenatis to come onto the marked square that I have here. So as long as her front tiles are anywhere along this line, we are actually good to set up the lure. The square that I have marked is just where she will spawn. Now, it's important to note, sometimes she'll spawn 1 tile east, at which point we'll actually have to wait for her to catch up to her normal line, and then we can do the lure. Sometimes she'll spawn 1 tile west, and if this happens, we've got to run back and reset her. The way the lure works is by clicking on attack 1 tick after she aggroes onto us, and she needs to be on her spawn line. So once she goes past that, we'll run up, we'll wait, she'll do a little twitch motion, and then we attack. Boom. All right, that actually went much better than this morning. So as you can see, she took a pause, then she catches up, and she's now lured. From here, we have our diagonal tile. You go 1, 2, and 3 diagonal. It's important not to click too early. When your character is in the 3rd box, so from where you're standing, 1, 2, or the 2nd, when you're here, you then click back to attack on Venenatis to land on this 3rd tile. Every time we move, we're going to wait till our bow is up in the air. So let's wait, bow up, run, and attack. Now, just for practice purposes, I'll run back in a second. Let me just pot up on prayer. All right, so bow goes up, we run, and then we attack. So practice a little bit with the timing just to get the hang of it. If you click too early, you'll land somewhere in the middle and she'll start attacking you. Another great indicator is if you're using tile indicator, once your tile destination disappears, then you click back on Ven. So bow goes up, tile disappears, and I attack. From here, it's much simpler. Bow goes up, we click the next tile, and immediately back onto Ven once our character starts moving. So we go up, and we attack. We go up, move, attack. Just like that. And you have the safe spot set up. So we'll go back. Here we are in singles. If we go back up 1 more, we are in multi. So this is the division line between singles and multi. So you don't need to go more east than this. It's completely optional. As long as you get here, you are now in single way combat. And if Pkers come, they like to come a lot of the time from this hill, which is why I have my camera pointed west. It gives me a nice vantage point to see them just in case. And sometimes Pkers will come from the east in this direction, at which point you're probably going to see them first on the mini-map before you see them on your camera. Now from here, I have a timer that indicates when Venenatis will spawn, 23 seconds. She will spawn exactly on the square if everything goes well. As I said, sometimes she'll spawn west, sometimes she'll spawn east. So we'll wait for her to spawn, and then we'll run back over to the attack. She'll turn, and we attack after she's done turning. But your second kill is always a lot easier than your first kill. So she spawns, turns, attack. And it's as easy as that. From here, let's go over. So bow goes up, we click, and then attack. Bow up, move, attack. Now, one thing I want to point out, if you need to restore your prayer or drink a range pot or whatever during the fight, It works the same exactly as running. Your bow goes up, you drink and attack. So bow goes up, drink, attack. Up, drink, attack. Works with divines, you just take 10 damage, but no tick loss, so you're good to go. Now, you can't do this with food. If you eat food, you will ruin the lore and she'll start attacking you. Now, as you notice in my inventory, I have the Royal Seed Pod here. This is so I can prayer flick while attacking Ven. So let's swap over to the prayer spellbook. Note, this will also work with Eagle Eye. You would just put the seed pod where my cursor is with the Saradomin Brew. So back over here. I click. I just practice prayer flicking, just like this on her. The benefit of practicing prayer flicking, besides saving your prayer, is I immediately go back to my inventory and my mouse is directly on my seed pod. This makes for teleporting out if there's a Pker extremely quick. Since I am more than likely going to have my mouse already on the seed pod, it gives me one less thing to worry about. So if you're not comfortable, you can just leave, you can leave your prayer on, Rigor or Eagle Eye, or you can just not use it at all, depending on your range level and what you're comfortable with. But I found practicing with this to be quite useful and a little bit stress relieving just knowing that my cursor is always sitting on the seed pod. Okay, now that we've seen what it looks like for a full kill and how she respawns, we'll take a look going back in slow motion in order to better understand her mechanics. Okay, Venenatis is now coming at us. When she turns, boom, we click, and the very next tick, our tile indicator appears. She comes towards us, and our safe spot is now complete. So we'll look at this one more time, going just a little bit slower than before, and we'll walk you through it step by step. Okay, here comes Venenatis again. We're going to wait for that southwest tile to line up perfectly in sync. So as soon as she turns, boom, perfectly turns. Her southwest tile is linked. We've hit the attack. And the next tick comes, boom. There we go. So on normal speed, we'll go and attack. Boom, boom. So she turned, we attack. She turned, we attack. Might be a little confusing, so you can always rewind, go over it a few more times, but that's the gist of it. When she does a little twitch turn motion, we go in for the attack. Now that you've seen what it looks like to properly set up the lore, I want to show what it looks like when you have a tick delay. By that I mean you attack and your character responds half a second later than usual. This can happen for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's slow internet on your end, maybe it's high ping, an unstable world, or who knows what else. So if you find yourself consistently failing the safe spot, it's better to just hop worlds or maybe even come back later in the day. What we're going to see here now is that given Ven's position, it should be an easy lore. However, when I attacked, my character was a bit too slow to respond, so I failed the lore. What we can see is that she turns, I attacked, and my arrow made contact just a little bit late, causing her to flinch one tile to west, which caused her to keep attacking. Alright, I've lined these two clips up so that way I hit the attack button at the same time on both of them. We're going at 10% of the normal speed, so it's crystal clear what's happening. On the left side is the normal kill, and on the right side is the tick delay. So what you are going to see is that on the left side, my character has already started raising the bow, and the character on the right has only just started. So by the time that the arrow actually hits Venenatis, it's considerably later from what we're able to see. And that makes the difference between setting up the lore and not setting up the lore. It's kind of hard to see when you're just going at it at normal speed. So as you practice, you'll get the hang of it and all of this will start getting easier along the way. Lucky for us, this one isn't common, but sometimes Venenatis won't twitch at all and instead it'll look like a fluid gliding motion. What's more, it also appears like she's targeting a tile early. Now it's actually possible to still get the safe spot off, despite me failing it here. The timing is technically the same, but without the visual guide provided by the Twitch, it can be difficult to adjust for. Let's go over Pkers for a bit. I normally keep my camera pointed west, as you can see here. So over here we have this hill off in the distance, which the majority of Pkers are going to spawn in from this hill. Now they'll also spawn in over here from the east around where my cursor is. Sometimes you'll see Pkers over there where I have all these tiles marked, Most of the time, you're not getting attacked from them from over there, though. They're there for that safe spot, so they won't actually see you and run over sometimes. I would say the vast majority that I deal with, I have to deal with from this hill, and then occasionally from this direction as well. But on times, you will see them from over there. Only the stupid Pkers attack you from the north, so you shouldn't have to worry about that too much. So one of the things we can do if Pkers come, obviously, as we've seen with the prayer flicking, the goal is just seed pod out immediately without getting teleport blocked. The good news is, even if you get teleport blocked on the same tick that you teleport out, the message will appear in your chat box, but you will still teleport out. And when you teleport out of the wilderness, it's canceled. So you're pretty much good on that. Now, if for whatever reason you do get teleport blocked, I would say your first go-to is to stand right underneath Venenatis. As you can see, I'm her only target, and she's struggling to hit me. What's good about this is that if she's struggling to hit me, she's hitting somebody else. So she is actually your friend and your shield, not your enemy during a PK fight. Secondly, you can try running towards green dragons over in single way combat. I really just want to kill her, but you know what? I'm not even going to worry about it. She'll reset. So if you're dealing with Pkers, you can come over here to these green dragons. Now what you'll want to do, I don't have this scene, so you're going to want to go in and de-equip your crossbow and just start punching a green dragon. Now if you bought an anti-fire, this will help with the protect from magic, but as you can see, they don't really do a whole lot of damage even without it. So your goal will be to brew down your HP. So once you've got a dragon box, your goal here is to brew down your attack and your strength so you don't kill it. From here, if you're comfortable enough, oh look, there's a Pker actually. See, look, the Pker can't attack me because I'm attacking Dragon Boo. So he wants me. We're going to say hello. So he really wants me, but he's not getting me. Question mark. He's confused. So this is great. If you get the Pker, like if you get right here, Pker's got nothing on you. And look, I can start attacking and he still can't get me. So we're still safe. And he might even just give up and run away. Yep, there you go. Bye, Pker. He's not even going to bother me. That happens a lot too. They just run away. So you're honestly fine. The problem is sometimes a clan will jump you, and I'm on a world that's not busy. Sometimes you can have 4 or 5 people here all killing the green dragons, normally for GP. And then if a clan shows up, some of them will run over in order to start killing the green dragon, so you have nothing to box. So just because these green dragons are here doesn't mean you'll always be able to get the kill off. Now that I've wasted ample amount of food, we're going to go run. So another option, which seems counterproductive, would actually be running north. So if a Pker runs at you, I would start by running underneath Venenatis. So let's run underneath her. Ooh, if I don't die. So we're underneath Venenatis, we're healing up, and we're chugging. And then I would just run north. Because at this point, if there's Pkers, she's also busy attacking them and not attacking you. And usually this will give you enough space to come over and just log out without any actual issues. So this is often a great way to escape Pkers. So it seems a little counterproductive. You're running north in the deeper wilderness, but as you can see, we're in single combat. And your Pker friends are probably over there in multi dealing with Venenatis at that point. So if you do get attacked, I would start by teleporting out, obviously, with the seed pod. And if that doesn't work, you either can run right over to the green dragons, or you can run underneath Ven, see what the Pkers do, and then decide if it's worth it to go north or go to the green dragons. So let's say they spawn from the east. Let's say I'm a Pker spawning from over here. Venenatis will de-aggro and actually start attacking them. So you probably are better off running north at that point, specifically because the Pker is closer to the green dragons than you are, and you'd have to run through the Pker. Your number one goal is just to get as much distance away from you and the Pker as possible. He's going to do his thing. Oh, I have to help him kill. Yeah, so look, Venenatis is now just ignoring me. Great example of why that is also a great strategy of just running underneath her. Now, I'm gonna have to kill her. Last little tip, even with PK deaths, you still tend to profit. The biggest thing holding you back is fear. Or not having 99 rune crafting. It's honestly hard to say at this point. But with that, thank you so much everyone for watching my Venenatis guide. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you learned anything useful, please let me know in the comments. As always, like, subscribe, and stay casual, my friends.